David Waterfield, Detective Constable number 3140, works for the Vancouver Police Sex Crimes Unit. This video will expose Constable David Waterfield's voice as he bullies a hard-working dad named Davis into signing paperwork. Besides the arrogance, bullying, and sneakiness Detective David Waterfield presents on behalf of the Vancouver Police, he admits to something massive that has been going on for many years. In this audio that Davis captured, bless his heart for recording this monster cop, Constable Waterfield admits that he takes blind instruction from BC government personnel within the Ministry of Families, known also as MCDF. I will explain the importance of this audio evidence against Detective David Waterfield. I will quickly point out that this audio was captured by Davis and is only evidence used to expose Detective Waterfield, and that Waterfield bullied Davis and caused him loss of work, legal bills, and stress for only reasons that the BC government, Waterfield, and Davis know why. Davis did have his children returned to him after they were arbitrarily abducted by Vancouver police and handed to BC government foster care, as opposed to letting the children's grandmother look after them as per most Asian cultures. BC government Vancouver police have shown repeatedly that they do not value family and work hard to fracture and tear family apart. Very close ties to Detective David Waterfield is a dubious man named William Strickland. William Strickland is an employee of the British Columbia Ministry of Children and Family Development, MCFD, who was a central figure in a high-profile child sexual abuse. BC Supreme Court Judge Paul Walker found that he committed misfeasance in public office. William Strickland had instructed Vancouver police officer Sergeant Pollard to ignore a child rape report, and so Sergeant Pollard did as instructed by William Strickland without question. The children continued to be abused because of these two men insulating the rapist. The case sparked public outcry and drew criticism from the former BC child advocate and NDP leaders at the time regarding the ministry's handling of the situation and its subsequent soft treatment of Strickland. Reports from 2025 indicated that Strickland was still employed by the ministry after the ruling by some mysterious BC government insider. The BC government have refused to say who Strickland's boss was and why he was not fired for aiding a rapist and instructing the Vancouver police officer Sergeant Pollard to ignore the rape report. This is where Detective Constable David Waterfield steps into the picture again, as he took over a child rape case from two dubious Vancouver police officers named Sergeant Stephen Jackal and Sergeant David Gibson that had also taken instruction from this same William Strickland to ignore a separate child rape report that had lots of powerful evidence. Of side note is that Sergeant Stephen Jackal was the lead officer in charge when his men beat a citizen to death named Miles Gray for squirting water from a garden hose. After a year, the guy that reported the child rape he witnessed asked why Sergeant Jackal and Sergeant Gibson were doing nothing regarding moving the case forward, and filed for Freedom of Information documents to look into the matter. This is when the evidence appeared that showed Vancouver police officers Jackal and Gibson had taken instruction from a person named William Strickland, and a search on William Strickland revealed he had a history of insulating child rapists and abducting children and putting them into foster care on behalf of some dark unknown people working within the BC government's Ministry of Children. No number of requests and FOI searches would reveal if William Strickland was a lone wolf that insulated child rapists or was working with others. But the fact that Strickland is still working for the government shows more men are involved in this horrific plot to insulate child rapists and arbitrarily put children in foster care. For those unaware, British Columbia is world-renowned for young underage white or Caucasian child prostitution of both boys and girls. Not sure if it is as blatant as the 1990s and 2000s when young prostitutes used to work a well-known corner in Vancouver known as Kitty Corner. There were and are to this very day many men's clubs that bring in young girls to sexually abuse. The famous Epstein case has nothing on the Vancouver underage sex trade. But I digress. A complaint was filed against both Sergeant Stephen Jackal and Sergeant David Gibson with evidence that included emails and audio showing they were instructed by William Strickland to ignore the child rape of, which they did ignore. The complaint went to the office of the Police Complaints Commissioner and was dragged out with not a single follow-up question and was subsequently whitewashed. Soon after the whitewash investigation by the OPCC, which is just an arm of the Vancouver Police, Sergeant Jackal was retired with full pension and Sergeant Gibson was handed a government job outside the police force, possibly closer to those same unknown dark figures in the British Columbia government that made sure William Strickland was able to sidestep any accountability or inquiry after the trial judge found him guilty of public misfeasance. Public misfeasance is another way of saying he instructed Vancouver police to ignore a child rape report and got caught that time. The witness to the brutal child rape went back to the Vancouver police again and asked for the case to be reviewed and investigated for real this time. The Vancouver police, knowing that audio existed showing the inaction of the OPCC and holding Sergeant Jackal and Gibson to account, decided to open the case again and give it a new police number. Vancouver police had known a recording of the OPCC whitewashing the complaint against Jackal and Gibson had gained over 1,000 views from the public and news media. This time, Vancouver police gave the child rape file to Constable Detective David Waterfield, number 3140, and Sergeant Keith Blin. These two Vancouver police officers took a recorded statement and promised they would investigate the rape. Some days later, Detective David Waterfield specifically said he had made contact with the alleged rape victim, and the victim did not want to either deny or acknowledge the rape took place. Waterfield said the alleged victim did not want to talk about it, and Waterfield said this is common for rape victims. Detective Waterfield did his best fake concern act and explained that sometimes adult victims of child rape just want to forget it ever happened. The witness to the child rape fully explained in both verbal and email that the victim may need some form of protection or emotional support because the perpetrator of the rape has well-known police-documented history of physical violence that the rape victim has seen himself. It was also explained to Inspector Waterfield that at least 2 people that knew the perpetrator believe there are many more child victims out there, and that this case is so very important to the future protection of British Columbia children. A few months went by, and the witness to the child rape felt something was wrong and not a single follow-up question came from Inspector David Waterfield. This seemed odd if this time a real investigation was taking place. The witness contacted David Waterfield through email and was told by Sergeant Keith Blin, badge number 2428, that they left a voice message for the alleged child rape victim and he did not return their call, so they had closed the case. Yes, you heard that right. Inspector David Waterfield claims he left a phone message. This had shown that Sergeant David Waterfield and the Vancouver police had made no attempt to investigate this rape, and again lied in that they never made contact with the victim. Leaving a phone message, if they really even did, was not a professional act, and certainly does not count as contacting the victim, and there is no evidence the victim even got that message. It would be insulting to any citizen to believe that Vancouver left a voice message asking the victim if he was forced to give oral sex to an adult when he was underage on a phone message. The email below shows that the Vancouver police and Detective David Waterfield had lied and did not make contact with the child rape victim and had no intention of investigating this rape most likely, because they are still taking instruction from the powerful and dubious William Strickland. Not only are the Vancouver police not investigating the child rape this second time around, but now have grown so adversarial and toxic that they are refusing to conduct a wellness check on 2 children that have been unheard from in many months and have known regular contact with the man that raped a child. This is the exact wording of Vancouver Police Sergeant Keith Blin's email using an electronic voice. The name of the witness of the child rape has his name removed for safety and privacy reasons. Please listen.
Good afternoon. Mr. Name Removed, I have been working with Detective Waterfield as a supervisor in the Sex Crimes Unit, and I oversaw his investigation. Detective Waterfield and I have had several investigative briefings, and we discussed the legalities and challenges involved. On May 15, 2024, Detective Waterfield concluded the investigation as the identified victim had not responded to multiple contact attempts. Given the circumstances, I am in agreement with his decision to conclude. Should the victim reach out and choose to participate in an investigation, the file can be reopened and the investigation can resume. I have advised Detective Waterfield that we will not be conducting a wellness check on your sons in relation to File 24-66871, which was the report you submitted to him on April 17, 2024. If you have reason to be concerned for the safety and well-being of your sons, I encourage you to call 911 for immediate assistance, or you can call 604-717-3321 for non-emergency help. If you have any questions or concerns regarding 24-66871 moving forward, please reach out to me rather than Detective Waterfield. Thank you, Keith Blin, Sergeant 2428, Vancouver Police Department, Special Investigations Section, Sex Crimes Unit, Team 2, 3585 Gravely Street, Vancouver, BC, 604-7117-9479.
Yes, that is Sergeant Keith Blin's disgusting email that again disregards the child rape report, just as Sergeant Jackal and Sergeant Gibson had done years earlier, and this time the case was closed, because the victim did not return their phone messages, apparently. It is also important to point out that the witness to the rape had never given out the victim's phone number, so the police did not even have his phone number. It is extremely doubtful that Sergeant Blin or Waterfield had any intention of doing this child rape investigation. because of the legacy of the BC government's instructing police not to investigate it. Yes, William Strickland, the dark, shadowy figure within the BC government, had put his stamp on this file and said, "Do not investigate this child rape." Yes, the same William Strickland that had been caught earlier instructing Sergeant Pollard to ignore another child rape report, and was found guilty by BC Supreme Court Judge Paul Walker. The next audio is of Sergeant Blin's partner, Sergeant David Waterfield. The recording is of Waterfield talking to a distraught dad named Davis that had his children abducted by Sergeant David Waterfield and given to MCFD. Besides the bullying, intimidation, financial burden he could not afford, arrogance, and talking over Davis. Inspector David Waterfield can be heard admitting that the BC government directs the Vancouver police when children should be abducted from their family, including grandma, and handed to government. This shows a shadowy centralized power hiding within the BC government, continually instructs the Vancouver police like a mean-spirited, agenda-driven puppet. In this case, Davis had to go public to get his children back. We don't know if Davis would have ever seen his kids again if the BC government and police had not noticed that Davis was getting lots of attention on social media. His extended family, including grandma and his children, are emotionally devastated by this horrific experience. Have a listen to Sergeant David Waterfield bullying Davis. These are the real voices, unlike the voice that read Sergeant Blin's email.
Hear me now? Okay.
So just while we're investigating today, we kind of came across new information and we're satisfied that your wife was not complicit in the abduction of Theo.
Okay.
So we are going to be canceling your wife's undertaking and her conditions.
Okay.
And we're going to be amending your undertaking so you are able to contact your wife, okay?
Okay. Okay. All right.
But we do need to re-serve you with a new undertaking with the amended conditions, okay?
Okay.
Are you able to come to the police station to receive that?
Which police station is it at?
The one that you were at yesterday at 3585 Gravely Street in Vancouver.
Okay. And do I have to, can a friend pick it up for me or someone else?
No, because you do need to sign for it to acknowledge that you received it and to acknowledge that you understand the conditions, just like you did yesterday. And the reason why is because we have to have it officially stated that these are your conditions and that we've amended your conditions. Or else, if somebody were to kind of see you with your wife and we haven't had a chance to amend it on our end, it's like a random police officer that doesn't really know anything about the file would say, "Oh, these people aren't supposed to talk. That's what the system says."
Mm-hmm.
So then that you would be arrested, and so we don't want that to happen. So we want to make sure that we can get this to you and get it on our system to make sure that there's no mistakes like that can happen.
Okay. Just a question. For my son, later on I realized, I looked at the day, I was like, wow, December. And then my son, I can't even see my son at that time. It's really disappointing because with family and child development, the importance of a father to be with a child.
And Mr. Lim, nobody understands that more than me. I 100% understand how horrible the situation must be. To not be able to see a child would be agony. And I get that. It's not lost on me. And because it's not lost on me, because I recognize how serious this is, to do that to a family, that should show you how important this decision is on our side. We don't take this lightly. We don't want to separate families because we recognize how important.
But when I look at,
let me finish. Please let me finish. How important this is for your son's safety, and that is why the decisions were made, and that is why we are going to keep those in place for the time being. Okay.
I just feel like it'd be proper if there's a proper investigation. The reason is my car, and then I have my tools inside it, my wallet with my driver's license, and I have business contacts I need to follow up. And even my wife, she has the other car keys, and we can't even have access to the car because it got confiscated. And how do we get around with one car is here and one car you have it in custody, and then you have both keys, keys. And another thing I want to say is you say that it's so important with my son. Well, when I look at the whole pattern of the hospital calling the ministry, then we got our rights taken away. And then the ministry saying that they didn't want to put my son in foster care. And then later on they do it. And like, when I look at this perpetrating of like these crimes, and even the judge, believing the ministry, saying that they'll put him back into Salmon Arm, and then now he's in Vancouver, and then now like for me to sign yesterday, I was just looking. I talked to my lawyer, and he's like, "Why did you sign? You should have called me first." And like to delay it all the way till December, and it's really like it wasn't. He said that was really wrong. What was done? That's like not fair.
And as I explained, your lawyer can fight that fight for you.
But he said by signing it really,
can do that.
But it costs money, and like like I was just thinking, like you're supposed, like the hospital's supposed to help us.
Mr. Lim, I basically explained to you everything that I can explain to you. I've explained to you everything I'm willing to explain to you at this time. There's some things that I'm not able to because I don't know those answers. Some things are kind of out of my hands at this point. The reason I called you was to let you know about this, and we can also discuss your Volkswagen keys, so I can get those back to you.
And my driver's license, and my wife has her bank card and her money.
So, we are currently writing the warrant to get into your vehicle. We don't want to keep your property from you any longer than we have to. We recognize that.
You want me to give you the key?
Let me finish, please. Let me finish. We recognize that a vehicle is important to a family. You have many kids. People need to get around. We recognize that we have your IDs and some of your tools, and that's important for your work. We don't want to keep that stuff from you any longer than we have to. So we are working diligently to complete this warrant so we can get in there, see what we need to see, and then we can release that to you.
Can we cooperate?
As soon as we can, and I will tell you as soon as it's done.
Can we cooperate, and I can come with the keys, and then you can do your search? Like I can open it up for you, and you can take a look through it. Like it's just like I have the key. We can open it up and.
So we, in order to protect our investigation, we are going to do it this way. That's what our decision is. We want to make sure that we protect the nature of this investigation.
But it's ineffective. It's inefficient. Like I could give you the key.
Excuse me. You're not letting me finish. This is a decision that has been made. I'm not going to argue about the decision that we've made. Understand?
I'm just trying to make it efficient for you guys, and I can pass you the key.
I appreciate that. And then we will try to do it as efficiently as possible on our end, and to do the investigation that we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Because like if like my tools aren't needed there, and I could just take them right there, like it's just. But anyway, another question I have is my 3 girls. We have no idea where they are. If they're with their brother, if they're like my mother has been not able to sleep last night, and like I'm just trying to. I was just thinking about my friend's daughter, that she is also like really in stress because of the situation, and also like we don't like when I want a cop to go and find, because they have been abducted and kidnapped from me and my mother. Like these are my girls. Like yesterday, I wanted to surrender and give Theo right back, but there was excessive force that was used in that coffee shop. There was no proper communication. It was brute force. It was just like a bully tactic, and so. I just feel that, my daughters, I want them returned as soon as possible.
Yes, and we will ensure they are returned as soon as possible. They are not in our custody right now. They're not under our care.
But as a detective,
I assure you, we will get your daughters back to you as soon as possible. I am not the one.
But it doesn't make sense.
I'm not the one that makes that choice. But we will make sure that the people that do make that choice are aware of the situation, and that they contact you as soon as they can, because they don't want to keep people away from their families unless they absolutely have to.
Can I keep you accountable, you as a person? Because like it's just like going around and like when the police were bam right on me, and within all the red alert, amber alert goes out, and then now you're saying that you'll try your soonest, and it's like can I hold you accountable that they will be coming back soon?
I don't know what that means by holding me accountable, but as I said, we will do our best to ensure that your property gets back to you, and that your children get back to you as soon as possible.
What I mean?
I'm not responsible for some of those. Excuse me. Let me finish. I'm not responsible for your children right now. They are not under our care, but the people that they are under their care of will get them back to you as soon as humanly possible. So.
I'm
explained everything thoroughly, and I'm going to end this conversation now, okay?
Oh,
Okay.
I'm just wondering also the signature that I signed. Can I not sign at all? Because like yesterday, it was just so under duress. I should have asked for speak to a
you
lawyer.
don't sign, sorry, go ahead.
I just yesterday, like just how I was just so like my head hurt and I just wanted to get out of there. And you were saying that this was the only way, for release, and I was desperate to get out. Like it was under duress for me signing. Like you should have asked me, do you want to call your lawyer first before signing? But it's like, you leave me in the room, you go out, and another person comes in the room, and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, even in that cop car. I just felt like yesterday the signature was really under duress, and
And that is a fight for your lawyer, okay? And I just, like I said, I need you to come in and get issued this new undertaking so we can remove those other conditions and ensure that the conditions that should stay on there do stay on there.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
And I'm just trying to understand like the parallels, because like if the ministry can take away my son, and then right now with my abduction with my daughters, how come you can't work on it right away?
They have greater authority to remove children from custody, and at that time, there were no parents available to take them. That was the best we could do at the time.
They could have called grandma's number. We have grandma's number. They know grandma's number.
I understand, yeah. But we weren't sure if that was a viable option at that time. Okay, so I think I've explained everything as far as I need to. If you want to contact me any further, you can do it via email. You have my email address on my card.
David,
I'm going to be hanging up the phone now.
Okay.
Take care now. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was the infamous Inspector David Waterfield that takes secretive phone calls and instruction from the BC government. It is important to note that Davis or anyone else in this particular case was never suspected of any sex crime, yet the BC government knew they could count on Waterfield to do their bidding. It is very easy for trained double-talking police officers to bully a guy like Davis into signing a consent order because Davis does not know any better. We are told to trust the police in Canada. Davis should have refused signing any consent order or undertaking written up by Inspector David Waterfield and should have demanded this go before a judge. A lawyer and judge would see this and demand evidence of why such an order should be made. Thousands of innocent citizens throughout modern history have been tricked or bullied into signing such police consent orders or undertakings and trapped themselves by admitting something they did not do, and this is used to further the trap. As I understand, Davis had a child that the government-run BC medical system wanted to experiment on by doing a surgery and a tracheotomy. Davis and his family said they wanted a second opinion, and the government health system called MCFD, and MCFD called the man they could count on named Inspector David Waterfield of the Sex Crimes Unit of the Vancouver Police, even though Davis's situation involved no sex crime. Hopefully it is not lost on anyone that Vancouver police officers Waterfield and Blin did have an actual child sex crime to investigate, and a first account witness to that rape. But because the MCFD, Willem Strickland, had instructed Vancouver police to ignore that crime, they did as instructed. Instead, the same BC government MCFD deployed Inspector Waterfield to bully, force a signature and terrorize Davis's family and abduct his children into foster care, even though there had been no sex crime whatsoever. You may be thinking that there must be somewhere to turn for help. You could report questionable police to the OPCC that is run by police and government and have it whitewashed. You could turn to the BC Ombudsman that is legislated not to involve themselves in police or MCFD matters and will be bounced back to nowhere. Davis asked in his social media thread if the mayor of Vancouver or an MLA could be used to get resolution, and this only shows that Davis is undereducated, and it must have made Sergeant Waterfield laugh inside his head when Davis was signing away his rights without a lawyer present. I am the narrator of this multi-layered story, and I am the person that saw a child being forcefully raped by an older man, and I reported it to Vancouver police with much evidence. I am middle-aged, I am post-secondary educated, I do not drink, and I have no criminal history or record. I have been fighting the system to have the rape investigated for many years. I believe there are more underage victims at the hands of that perpetrator. After MCFD found out about the rape I witnessed, they worked with my ex-wife's powerful Catholic family to have my 2 sons arbitrarily abducted. I have not seen or heard from my 2 sons in many years. Even though I am not a religious person, I still silently pray every single day that they are okay. Kind regards, Dad.